Good afternoon, everybody. Hello, Pranav, Vani Prasad, Vani, Chetan, Yash, Sapna. Good afternoon. Hello, Bhavik. Okay, it's time to begin with our today's webinar. A very warm welcome to all our participants and speaker to this wonderful Wednesday afternoon. Ever thought of quitting your job and starting your own venture? From being an employee to hiring an employee for your own firm. It's a dream for many, but achieved by few. Why? Some of them didn't plan well or they didn't execute it well. Perhaps the market study was inadequate. And most important of all, would I sustain the dynamics of business without a regular secured income? Don't worry, today's session will cover it all. Let's hear it out from our expert speaker who will be sharing his experience and his path to entrepreneurship. HR Association of India welcomes you all to the 2021 Dialogue Masterclass series on the topic How to Start a Startup Without Quitting Your Job. To know more about HRAI and its events, I would request all our participants to visit the link and details posted in the chat window. Request all the participants to kindly follow the webinar guidelines mentioned in the chat window. It would be great to have all the participants' feedback while we'll be running a poll before the Q&A session. Request all the participants to kindly give your feedback on the session. I now take privilege to introduce our esteemed speaker for today, Mr. Avelo Roy, MD, Kolkata Ventures. Avelo Roy is a serial tech entrepreneur, investor, and a TV host who started his first startup at the age of 19 around his patent pending technology while still studying as a computer engineer at Illinois Institute of Technology and turned it into a multi-million dollar evaluation at the age of 22. He has built 8 multi-million dollars worth businesses in US and India. As the great-great-grandson of Sarojini Naidu, Avila continues the legacy forward by serving the Indian youth through the entrepreneurship, education, using lean startup methodology and principles of Bhagavad Gita. His efforts through Kolkata Ventures in past 3 years have resulted in 400 plus revenue generating startups responsible for around 4,500 new jobs created in 10 states of East India. 500 plus speaking engagements in US and India, platforms like White House Panel of Entrepreneurship Education, Startup America, Invest India at Rashtrapati Bhavan, TEDx Talks and Josh Talks and more. 150 plus awards in India, US, Canada and China. Thank you, sir, for accepting our invite and being a part of this session. You can also follow him on LinkedIn. The link for the same has been shared in the chat window. I now hand over the platform to Mr. Avelo. Over to you, Mr. Avelo.
Thank you for such a kind introduction, Shyam. Very honored to be here with you. I just wanted to, before I start in the chat section, if all of you could type that how many of you are actually interested in starting your own business and being your own boss, say yes. If it is not, then say no. If it is a maybe, say maybe. But I'm curious to know, so that way okay, yes. Oh, good. Mostly yes. Fantastic. Okay, good. Then I'll give it a. Okay, fantastic. All right, I'll share my screen. Can you confirm, Shyam, that you can see my screen? Okay.
Yes, I can.
Okay. So our topic today is how to start a startup without quitting your job. And this is something very important, because a lot of times we think we have to quit our job, our steady flow, and we don't realize a lot of the initial work of a startup doesn't require full-time attention when you're doing your market research, prototyping, etc. So we're going to go through all those different phases, and when is the right time to quit your job, when you have the validation. So thereby reducing your risk, because most of you are probably married individuals, have responsibilities and whatnot. So it's important that you don't take a risk at the same time, don't have to crucify your dream of being your own boss. All right, so This is actually a cool story. So I was a student entrepreneur. This was 2008. Obama just became president of the United States. And at that time, the recession also started. And there was around 10% unemployment rate. So at that time, a lot of us young entrepreneurs were being told to go out to colleges and schools to talk about job creation. People who to become job creators, become entrepreneurs. And then one high school actually gifted me this plaque that says, "Can't spell entrepreneur? Be someone and hire someone who can." And I found that very, very fitting as a nice tight definition of entrepreneurship. You don't have to be an expert at a lot of different things. You just have to know what you want and get the right people who are probably better than yours around to build a team to make that happen. So been an entrepreneur since the age of 19, as Sham rightly said, been mentored by some very amazing people. At the bottom, you see at that time, the CEO of Motorola and Nokia before when Apple and all, started the smartphone revolution. These guys were the phone giants. And, so we got some very nice mentorship from amazing people, won a lot of business plan competitions, got awarded by California State Senate. Started all these ventures in US, Canada, Hong Kong, and eventually in India. Kolkata Ventures has been a dream project. We have been able to create more than 4,500 jobs, 400 plus revenue generating startups. And this pandemic actually helped our virtual incubation program to go in 5 countries. Now we are not in Kolkata, not just in India, but also we are in other countries as well. What makes us unique is it's entrepreneurs helping entrepreneurs. So not motivational speakers, not a lot of PhDs, but people, some of them are PhDs, but they're entrepreneurs who have built at least $1 million in revenue for their business. And those are the people giving you gyan and holding your hand and walking you through the process. Of course, we also have industry experts who have helped scale unicorns like Naukri or Oyo and companies like that, but they have been an integral part of that scale up process. So they are not necessarily entrepreneurs, but they are expertise in scaling. So they also are our mentors on a platform. And these are some of our startups that are making more than 5-10 lakhs a month. These are already funded. Others are in the process. I also love sharing knowledge. So I'm a guest faculty at IITs, IIMs, and 2 US universities, TED Talks. And whatever I'm speaking to you, there is a little bit of success that I have seen. And that's from that vantage point is what I'm going to share with you, what has worked for me personally, for my 8 businesses, as well as for the startups that have come under my mentorship, what has worked for them. That's what I'm going to share with you. And many of them have been startups that were in a job situation and eventually transitioned into full-time startups. So employee to entrepreneur transition. And that's a very scary transition. It's not easy. It's a different thought process. It's a different mindset, because as an employee, you're told, here are the boundaries. This is what you need to do by this deadline. You're answerable to someone, right? Somebody is going to ask you, hey, where is the job? Whereas an entrepreneur, when you become an entrepreneur, you're on your own boss, which is a good thing and a bad thing, because you can be wasting a lot of time, doing a lot of unnecessary things, and going sideways rather than going forward, right? And that's where the mentorship, incubation, all of these things come in handy, because it's a transition. And we are generally in schools, we are told what to do by teachers. Parents tell us what to do. Then we get a job, we are told what to do. And then suddenly we are entrepreneurs and we're like, I can do whatever I want. Okay, what should I do? And that's where the transition phase, we need a little bit of help. I like to, share some nice thoughts in my Twitter feed. And this is like 1:30 a.m. in the morning. I one day wrote, "It's better to die with memories and dreams." And I really like that quote. And it's because I have been to situations where I have been close to death, having asthma as a child. And regrets are not something you want on your deathbed, something that you can look back when you're, leaving your body and say, hey, you know what? I had a good life. Whatever I wanted to do, I might have screwed up, I might have succeeded, but I did. At least I made an attempt. Regret is I didn't even try. Who knows what could have happened? Who knows what could have happened if I did when I did? And that's true for love. That's true for startup. That's true for any dream. And it's important that we die with memories than dreams, right? So with that thought, we'll get into kind of the change in the mindset first. I'll address before getting into technicalities of starting a startup. So first is the anatomy of change. It comes from 3Ds: disgust, decide, desire. Disgusted by probably a current situation, which is a very good thing, to have a terrible boss, to have a terrible work situation, terrible workload where you don't have time for family, etc. People, I don't need this. This is not a life I envisioned. So disgust, and then you decide that, what, enough is enough. And a desire to do something much bigger and much better than what you're doing right now. And with that, you resolve, you create a compelling vision. And this part is very important. It's not enough to say, I want to make a lot of money, I want to save a lot of make a lot of people happy, create change in this world, make a dent in the universe. All those are nice quotes, but it's important to actually create a very specific compelling vision. Whether it's a particular type of car you want to buy, whether it's a particular type of house you want to build, whether it's a place you want to live, whether it's the amount of money you want to make. It's important to be specific so that you can break down and act on that goal every day. Small victories every day on small goals leading to a much bigger, compelling vision. So if it's $1 million, you break it down into small goals every day, how you're walking towards that $1 million, right? Small changes every day is sustainable. Generally what happens, suddenly you get this motivation and you're like, I'm going to do something about this. And one day you're very inspired, 2 days you're very inspired, one weekend you're very inspired, but other days you're like, it's okay, let me watch Netflix now. Right? And slowly, I'm not saying you shouldn't watch Netflix, by the way. It's good to release stress. But the point is, don't let that go down, that motivation go down. That's what happens. So it's important that you dedicate 2 hours a day, every day, or 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day, whatever you can afford, every day, to changes, versus like 8 hours on one day and nothing on another day, right? That's the biggest mistake people do, is they try to do a lot in one day, then they get burnt out, and they say, oh, it's not for me. This is the next step. Once you figure out, I want to start a startup, the next step is figuring out, what do I want to do? And many people are like, I'm thinking of ideas, no idea has come to me yet, so I'll wait for 10 more years. Well, there is a process, ideation process. You first figure out who you are, right? Are you a left brain person or a right brain person? Left brain is logical, mathematic minded, realistic, etc. You can read. Right brain is more the creative, more the emotional side, more the occasionally, likes to go in a hopeless romantic type, where you have a lot of human element to you, there's a lot of creative element to you. And some of the best CEOs in the world have a little bit of both. They have a balance of both. But in case, there are also CEOs who are just one-sided and not the other. Like Steve Jobs, he was a little bit of both, but more on the right brain side. Whereas Steve Wozniak, no right brain whatsoever. It's mostly left brain. Dealing with people is not something he likes. He likes to be in his own cubicle with his laptop, building Apple computers, whereas Steve Jobs is building the brand Apple, right? So this is you. This is also you and your co-founder, right? If one side is you, the other side is your co-founder. It's important to have that balance. Now, if you don't have a co-founder, don't worry about it. It's like finding a date or a spouse. It might take some time, but the point is, get started. Slowly, as you go through, you'll meet more people, and eventually, as you know more and more what's the kind of person with what skill sets you want, you'll eventually meet that person and bring them on board, right, as you make progress. So don't worry about, like, without a co-founder I cannot start, without an idea I cannot start. The point is, start with a Google search, know who you are, and do this exercise. Skills and passion. Before I start a startup, I do this exercise myself. And because I do it, I tell my mentees, people I guide in building startups, I tell them, hey, you know what? Start with this exercise. Write down 2 things, 2 skills that you are better than others, that you're specially gifted by God, that right? At this time of your life. What are the 2 things, 2 skills? And then 2 passions that you think, oh man, and passion is kind of like, football or cars or fashion or movies, right? And imagine this. This is the kinds of people who you want to be around. You want to be surrounded by people who are passionate about something similar. What kind of two things are you passionate about? And if you are really serious about your startup, you're probably writing this down. I hope you are, right? And if you feel comfortable, you can share in the chat also. But the point is, why am I making you do this? Here is why. From the passion part comes you select a market, because now you can actually target a market, understand their pain, and you're part of that market. You understand people who are passionate about the same thing and what problem they face. Once you figure out this is my problem, now you figure out, I have these skills. With these skills, how do I solve this problem? And don't worry about, I don't have money, I don't have an office, I don't have this, I don't have that. Forget about the I don't haves. Focus on what you have, right? So skills you have, and you'll realize you don't have a lot of skills. And that's what co-founders, team, etc. are for, right? But figure out, okay, with my skills, how can I get started with solving this problem, right? And as you think, as you research, as you go through Google, Quora, Google Trends, all of these things, researching this problem and try to figure out a solution with your skills, you will also come across how to make money with that, how to create a business model around it. That means money goes in, value creation happens, revenue comes out, right? Effort goes in, value creation happens, revenue comes out. Creativity goes in, value creation happens, revenue comes out. So value creation. What is value creation? We'll get into that shortly. But let's understand what is a business model. A business model describes all parts of the company necessary to make money. What are those parts? So according to years of scientific study, these are the different parts of a business. First, the most important is your customer. But not just customer, but customer segment. What is a customer segment? So you might say, okay, all football lovers are my friend or my customers. But then you say, no, I want to segment that out. I want to narrow it down. Niche, 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 narrow, narrow, narrow. Who is that? Okay, all football lovers who are living in cities in India who have access to online payments and credit cards and things like that. Okay, that's a narrower segment, right? So like that, you segment your customer base. The people are facing the problem. Okay, a lot of people who can afford to a solution, maybe this. Who can afford a digital solution, maybe even a smaller, narrow niche segment, right? So you create that segment. Then comes your value proposition. What is the value that your product or service is providing? So for example, what's the value that a phone is providing? A phone, okay, let me ask you that question. You guys are all in HR, so most of you are very emotionally, attuned. So what is the value that a phone provides? Can anybody write down in the chat section? Connect. Communication. What else? A lot of people are saying communication. Ethics from a phone. Interesting. Listen. Credibility. Okay. A phone provides a lot of value. I mean, one thing is it's your office in your pocket, right? Number two, it's entertainment in your pocket. Number three is it saves you time. Connectability, communication. Now, Sapna, photography is not the value. The value is self-esteem. When that photo goes on Instagram and people say, oh, wow, that was such a nice photo, that is the value, right? So the value is not the megapixels. The value is not the technology. The value is what makes you look good, what makes you smile, what makes you proud of it. That's the value. And that's what you need to figure out. What is it that my solution makes my customers proud? That's the value proposition. So once you figure that part out, then comes your channel, distribution channel. So how do you get that value across to your customer when they pay for it, right? Is it through retail stores? Is it through e-commerce platforms? Is it through WhatsApp? Is it through YouTube? How are you delivering this value? How are you maintaining customer relationships? Through chatbots, through real call centers, people, SMS, email, right? Revenue streams. What are your revenue streams? How are you making money? Is it one-time revenue? Is it recurring monthly subscription revenue? Is it, you know, come as a freemium, then become a premium, etc., etc.? Layers of revenue. What's your revenue stream? Key resources. What do you have? Your team, etc. Your knowledge, your industry expertise, your connects. A lot of you are in HR. You must have been knowing a lot of people, right? I mean, anybody, if you start a HR startup, would do really well. If you start up a learning and development startup, you'll do really well. If you do anything on corporate training, you'll probably do really well, right? So these are your key resources. You are experienced in this aspect of life. You know what stresses out an employee, how to, what are the problems that are there in HR, but nobody's solving it. Key activities. Now you end up, what is it that you do? Do you design? Do you construct? Do you build? Do you maintain? Do you, you rent out? What do you do? What is your key activity? So for example, LinkedIn, if they were to say, they will say, we maintain a platform. They've created a software platform on which we all are networking, finding jobs, hiring, etc., etc. Key partners. So what kind of strategic partners can help you grow massively, right? It's kind of like a David and Goliath kind of a thing, where there's a big company, let's say a Paytm, and a small startup. What's the event company called? I forget. There was this event company that was having maybe 40,000 or so customer base, and Paytm is having around 400 million customer base. And so Paytm said, hey, I want events on my platform. I don't want to create it from scratch. You already have something. Bring it on board. I'll give you access to visibility of 400 million customers or 40 million customers, whatever that number is, right? And you get access to more sales, and you use Paytm gateway. So we also make money. So you make money, we make money, and we don't have to build from scratch, and you get access to saving customer acquisition cost. Both sides win. You're a small company, I'm a big company. Great, let's team up. So that's called strategic partnership. How can a strategic partnership really help you, right? And what are those strategic partners? You have to identify them. And lastly, the cost, right? Where are you spending money? Where is your cost mainly going in terms of office expense, server expense, I don't know, a lot of salaries or whatever, right? The different costs. So all of these put together is your business model. So this is pretty much within this, the entire business is covered. Now, I'm going to talk about some skills. So when you start a startup and you become the CEO, if you want to call yourself that, or the founder, whatever you want to call yourself, there are certain skills that will help you, right? The first thing is oral and written communication skill. Now with HR, I don't have to say much. You guys are probably really good at this. With tech guys, I have to be like, you guys need to learn to talk or pitch or write, because the right brain is missing, correct? So it's mostly the left brain. So as a result, people are not good with communication, and that leads to like really good people who don't know how to explain what they're doing, the amazing things they're doing. They don't get too far. Whether to get a co-founder, you need to communicate. To get the first incubation, you need to communicate. To get investors, you need to communicate. So constant communication is a need of a CEO, and you need to be able to, if you don't have that skill, you need to learn. Coding is helpful. If you have any kind of tech understanding, it is helpful. You can even take a free coding class, because nobody's expecting you to be the coder. But knowing it helps you not get cheated, right? Because if you don't know anything tech, you will need tech in your business. Let me be very honest, even if it's just building a website. And when the tech guy understands you don't understand technology, they're going to tell you all kinds of jargon, and they're going to make a fool out of you. And you're going to end up paying 4 times more than you need to pay. So a little bit of knowledge of coding also helps with your decision making, right? Not just the tech part, but also when you know the logical flow of how coding works, it also is a great tool. I'm not saying it, Bill Gates says that everybody should learn coding because it helps you with logical decision making. If you know designing, nothing like it, but at least have an eye for design, If not, get a co-founder who has eye for design, because your website, your graphics, your ads, everything will have a design element. And trust me when I say it, your design plays a big role in earning the trust of your customers. Project management is an absolute need. You have to know this, how to break down a big task into small tasks, project ownership, follow-ups, QA, all of that. It's really important. Not that you need a PMP course, right? Not necessarily, but at least the basics of how to break down a task, get things done on time, keep the team motivated, make sure nobody's going and sleeping or playing on their phone or whatever, right? That part is a very crucial day-to-day role of a startup CEO. Digital marketing and data analytics, the more you know, the better it is, but at least know the basics. Again, you can just learn from blogs and things like that. It's nothing rocket science, but you should know what works, what doesn't work, and what is in. Because again, digital marketers, some of the biggest cheaters out there, to be honest. Not all of them, but a lot of them. I have personally hired and fired at least 4 digital marketing teams. One of them was using my credit card to pay for ad of some other company, and I caught them with the analytics and everything. So it's important that you are aware, otherwise you will get cheated. Money management, this nobody teaches, but again, really important skill, because you will always have 5 lakhs to pay, and yet you only have 2 lakhs in cash. How do you prioritize? Who do you give what? How do you decide where the money goes? You'll always be cash strapped, of course, unless you're Reliance or a very successful company which has extra cash, or which is not growing really. Then it's you are filled with cash. But if you're a growing company, you will always be cash strapped, because all the cash is going back in the company to help it grow. You're constantly growing. That's why you see all these startups making 7,000 crores losses, 5,000 crores losses, right? Why? Because if they were to stop, they would be profitable. But they don't stop. They just keep on growing, spending more money in marketing and sales, spending more money in customer acquisition, spending more money in becoming the monopoly. And that's how they're racing towards a unicorn kind of a dream, where they're making losses in the short term. But the valuation they're creating is based on that if they were to stop spending on marketing and sales, would they make profit right now? Yes, they would. So as a result, okay, keep on acquiring customer, keep on growing, and that way you're burning money, but you're building value and trust. So money management is very important. Interpersonal interactions, right? How to negotiate, how to sell, how to get somebody to do what you want them to do. It's a very powerful skill that women have better than men. But if you're a man, you better get used to it, better learn it to the degree you can, because this is very helpful. And languages, if you speak more languages, the better it is, right? And search engine optimization, at least understanding of it, because visibility is everything. Jo dikta hai, wo bikta hai, as I say, right? So if you're not visible, nobody's buying, whatever. And if you're not visible on a search engine, you don't exist. If you're not visible on social media using hashtags, you don't exist. So as an individual, it's okay to not exist on the digital world. But as a brand, as a company, especially if you're B2C, you need to exist. If you're a B2B, it's okay not to exist on social media, except for LinkedIn, but you should be Googleable, right? But if you're B2C, you need to be everywhere. You need to be a brand. So these are some things. Don't worry if I'm overwhelming you. Don't worry. These are all like 1 or 2 hour or 4 hours maximum, a week's worth of learnings that you need to do in each of these. It's not rocket science. And honestly, at Kolkata Ventures, we provide courses and things like that, which can zoom you up like that. So don't worry. These are not hard things, not rocket science. With COVID-19 and given the situation, there is a lot of opportunities. People are scared. Now, these industries are kind of bust. They're struggling a little bit, but they will be soon up and running. But these ones are booming. FMCG is booming. Healthcare, amazing, especially mental health. A lot of people are in big crisis, being at home and everything. Insurance, astrology, people are scared. They want to know the future, doing really well. Gig economy, a lot of people are not going back to their jobs, especially in America, soon to be in India also. People are so used to working at home, being with family, kids. Some people don't like it being home, but a lot of people do like to be at home. And they're like, you know what? Let me work from home or I'm not going back. And when they get fired, they're joining the gig economy, which is basically, hey, I'm going to work when I want to work, freelancer, right? And you can be a project manager making a lot of money. You can be a graphic designer making a lot of money. You can be a content writer making a lot of money. You can work when you want, and you can make the money you want to make, and not make the money when you don't want to. When you want to sleep, you sleep, right? That's the new way of things, as we are seeing transitioning out of COVID-19, is the gig economy. People are wanting more freedom and autonomy. They don't want to be in a 9 to 5 job. A lot of people are getting into stock market investing, and that's why Zerodha and companies like that are booming, right? So these are some of the places you want to focus. If they are aligned with your passion and your skill, you might want to look into these options. Of course, there are other. It's not an exhaustive list, but this is a list. So there are different options that are there with you. Some options where you can start with zero money, like being a consultant, being in the gig economy, drop shipping and all. And then there are others where you need some money to make $1 million, kind of a business, right? So Cloud Kitchen, it doesn't take much. You can make, most states allow you to make your own kitchen into a cloud kitchen with FSSAI approval, right? You can be creating WhatsApp groups of your friends and their friends and office colleagues, and Swiggy, Zomato, delivery. You can be delivering at midnight. Some companies are doing really well with cloud kitchens where they're delivering 10 p.m. to 2 a.m., right? When people get hungry at night, staying up, working late, most restaurants are closed, and these restaurants make the most money, and they're open at an odd hour. So you can be doing a day job, and you can be having a cloud kitchen running from 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. and making some extra money, right? You can have a niche like being vegan or being yoga friendly food or keto diet or whatever else, right? So having some kind of a niche, and you can do really well, right? And other options are becoming an influencer or on social media, which takes time, by the way. It's not easy to do that. If you have that kind of a personality, rock star personality, you can sing, dance, do comedy, sure. Consultant, corporate trainer, franchisee owner, all of these are options, right? And none of these require you to leave your job while you're preparing for it. You don't have to quit your job. You can be researching, even like Cloud Kitchen. You can get your FSSA approval, which takes 10 days. Company registration takes 10 days. Right? Creating a WhatsApp group, getting the friends involved, creating the marketing material. You don't have to quit your job for it. You can actually be doing it if you're doing it at night, for example. It's possible that you can do it while keeping your job. And eventually when it becomes very popular and you're like, oh my God, too many customers, I cannot deal with having a job in the morning, waking up in the morning and staying up at night, I'm going to quit. So now you have revenue coming in. Now you quit. That's an important aspect you have to understand. Everything takes time. These things take time to build up to the point where you cannot continue doing both job and your startup or your gig or your consulting at the same time. And that's when you quit your job. But no point quitting your job beforehand immaturely and be like, oh my God, there's not much to do. I'm watching TV all day long. There's not much to do in my startup. Why did I quit my job? No point. Now, I understand many of you have employment agreements which doesn't allow you to do something else while you're employed. I understand that. Now, the point is you don't have to do it. You don't have to incorporate it also. You can do the research part. The incorporation of your startup comes when you are ready to receive your first check from your customer. You need a bank account. And for that bank account, you need the incorporation, right? No point incorporating, spending 10, 12,000 rupees and just waiting for 6 months before you're generating any revenue. Incorporate when you're ready to generate revenue. So till you incorporate, you're not doing a business. You're just doing a hobby. And you can be having a full-time job, getting paid, having a flow of income coming in while you're building your startup, right? Now, as you're building it, understand that the thought process is make things that people want. Back in the days, it used to be making people want things. The Ambanis, the Adanis, these Birlas, Tatas, they used to do that. They would make what they want, black ambassador. Okay, fine. And now they put ads on TV and people would buy it. Surf or this or that. They'll make what they want. They'll put an ad, and people are like, oh, I'm going to buy it. Today we have so many options. We are so educated. We understand what's good, what's not, and so we need to make what people want. What is their problem, and solve it, right? And when you want clarity, so a lot of times what happens is we know what we want, but we don't have clarity. When you need clarity, use this tool. Write down in this one sentence, company name, which is XYZ LLC, whatever it is, helps dash, that's your market, your target market. To dash, the value creation, value proposition you're doing. By dash, how you're doing it, your method of doing it. So Kolkata Ventures does a lot of things, from incubation to funding to resources to legal stuff. But here, the one-liner is Kolkata Ventures helps entrepreneurs to growth hack their business by using lean startup methodology, right? This is the one-liner. So you need to really cut down all the fats. Yes, you're doing a lot of different things, but what is the core principle of what you do? What makes you successful? That's what this line represents. And this tool will keep on helping you as you go through your startup. Now, there are two kinds of businesses. One is product, one is service. Product business generally requires a little bit of seed funding, even like Cloud Kitchen. Now, can you save money? Yes, you can always buy secondhand equipments for your kitchen and whatnot, or whatever you're building, for your manufacturing. But you still need a little bit of money. So either you have some savings, or you can get a crowdfunding. If you don't know what that is, Google it. And then you build Tesla and you prototype, you try it on 5 people, 10 people, get feedback, build again, test again, learn again, build again, test again, learn again. And you build a better product, Series A investment, some 1 crore, 2 crores, 5 crores, whatever, right? Product launch, and then marketing, distribution, sales. So you have to understand that 10% is online sales, 90% is still in brick and mortar stores. So if you have a physical product that you want to build, better know how to distribute it, because distributors are very, very important for getting into retail stores. Service business, very easy. Get started tonight, right, if you want to, right? Your B2B customers are on LinkedIn, your B2C customers are on Facebook. You can, as you grow, you can add new features by testing one variable at a time. Don't do too many things, then you'll not be able to track what went wrong or what went right. So one thing at a time, you can add, test, see how it works, right? It's important to focus on management and accounting. You will not be managing a company always. You will need to hire small project managers who can take away some responsibilities from you. Accounting, compliance, super important. You don't do it, you hire somebody, external kind of accounting company to do it. If you need help, I'll connect you, no problem. Sales push, right? Once you're done with social media, you will need people to be on the phone, calling databases, and pushing sales. And you will make mistakes. Just be aware, right? You will build, you'll measure, you'll learn, you will make mistakes, you will fail initially, temporary failures. Just like when you learn to walk. Did you falter and fall? Yes. And your parents said, beta, get up and keep trying. Better, try again, walk again, walk again. Today you can walk, talk, listen to music, doesn't matter. But the point is, there was a time you didn't know how to walk. There was a time you didn't know how to drive. So there's going to be a time when you don't know how to build a startup and you will fail. But fail fast, succeed faster. That's the mantra, right? Fail enough times. And then you'll come to the understanding what makes your customer brag, what makes your customer talk to other people about, like, oh, this is really cool stuff. You really want this. Leverage other people's network. So social media is that basically where other people, your customers, are hanging out. Where are your customers? Are they at Starbucks? Are they on Facebook? Are they on Instagram? Find them and use that as a traffic source for bringing those customers to your product and service. You can be running ads, you can be doing organic stuff, you can be doing content marketing, etc. So I'll end here. And if there's anyone who needs more time with me and wants a consultation, happy to help you out. You can go to kolkataventures.com or WhatsApp this number. And there's a gift for all of you. I have more than 200 videos that I've made on startups, starting a startup from zero money all the way to fundraising from investors, to building products, prototypes, marketing, sales, and Bhagavad Gita. All of that is there on youtube.com/Aveloroy. So those are gifts for you. In case I prematurely die, I don't want all this knowledge that I've received to die with me. So I've created these videos for you. And I keep creating every week new videos so that you can learn from all the wonderful wisdom I have received through my life as well as through my mentors. And if you need anything, I'm the only person with the name Avelo Roy. You can find me on Instagram or LinkedIn or just Google me. And I personally respond to the social media messages. In case I'm not able to follow up one or two times, and I'll respond because I get a lot of messages. Sometimes I might miss out, but you can always reach out to me and I'll try my best to help you out. So that's me. Now I would like to hear some questions from your side.
So before we move ahead into Q&A session, we will be initiating a poll. Request all the participants to kindly share your feedback. While you're doing so, I would also request all the participants to put your questions into the chat window. Once again, I thank all our participants for joining our today's session. We have received a lot of inquiry about e-certificates offered by HRAI. You can claim your certificates by sharing your details, that is name and session attended, in an email to the email address provided in the chat window. Please ensure you do this by 30th of June 2021. We will email the e-certificates to you based on the details received. That is by first week of July.
Very happy to see all the polls live coming in. Thank you. I really appreciate that. Okay, I think the questions have started
Yes.
coming in. Sham, would you be moderating them for me?
Yeah, I will be. Okay, so how do you validate a business model? What's the one by two parameter?
So one validation is if you are able to get people to your prototype or MVP, or if you're able to generate some revenue, right? That's a proof that okay, either financially or through usage, that people need this product, right? Now that's not end all be all, but that's an initial validation. Um, if you want, I can give a story, a cool story. Very quickly, I'll give a 1 minute story. So there's Zappos was a company where this gentleman who started Zappos, he thought, okay, will people buy expensive shoes online? And this was early days of e-commerce, after Amazon, but early days. And he decided, okay, I'll go to a shoe shop. So he asked the shoe shop owner, can I take some pictures of your shoes? He's like, why? He's like, I want to sell them online, and if they sell, I'll buy at full price and I'll sell it. He said, okay, more sales for me. Sure, go ahead, take pictures. So he took pictures, went on, build a WordPress site, put up all these pictures, and quickly with Shopify and all, he was able to create a simple e-commerce platform. Started promoting it. In 3 days, sold a few shoes, and he went to the shop, bought those shoes, shipped them, shut down the website. And then he said, okay, it's proven that people are willing to buy shoes online. Now, with this validation, I'm going to now invest in building a beautiful e-commerce platform. And eventually they got bought out by Amazon for multi-billion dollars, right? That's Zappos story. So that's what validation means. Like you just get a little hint. Is it something people want or they not want? And based on that, you build, you test, you learn.
We have also received questions during the time of registration. I will read out to you. How do I identify the right startup for myself based on my skills and competency? What is the process involved in finalizing the idea that would work?
I think I answered that already, right? In the presentation, I went through the
Yeah,
process.
correct.
But again, if you want me to repeat that, um, figure out what skills you have, look at the problem, think how you can use your skills to solve that problem. And you might not have all the skills. So those are the skills you need in your co-founders or founding team. And get the team together, build something simple with the free tools available online, cheapest possible way, jugadu kind of way, build something, test it out with the market. If there's positive feedback, work on it. There will be negative feedback also, know that, and know that that's not what is working, and what's working, focus on that and build more on what is working. And eventually, as you build more iterations, you will figure out what is going to work and what is not going to work, and you'll be able to build something that people are willing to pay for.
Wonderful. Okay, and there's one more question from our participant, Karuna Sharma. I have lost my job due to COVID. Sorry to hear that. Now, rather than looking forward to a new company, I am planning to get into a new business. However, don't know where to start and what should I choose.
Karuna, I don't know what is your skill. I'm guessing you're in HR, so you must be from HR background. So, like I said, there is a lot of need for HR related training. There's a lot of need for HR folks in the startup world if you want to be in jobs again. But if you want to be in your own business, might as well be a consultant. There's a lot of speakers coming up due to COVID. There's so many webinars. A lot of experts have become speakers, and they need managers. And if you are a person who has access to a lot of HRs, right, and you know how this process works of speaking engagements in corporates, that could be a business for you. A lot of people, a lot of customers waiting for that to happen. You can be managing clients who are wanting to get into the corporate scene. So I don't know what your specific skill is, but there's a lot that you probably know that you don't know. And you can use those, spend some time with yourself, that what you really know, go deep inside and find out that in HR space, what are the things that you're very good at. Write to me on Instagram or LinkedIn, and I'll help you out what would be a good business for you.
Wonderful. I hope, Karuna, that answers your question. And there's one more question during the registration. What are factors decide the success of any startup? And how many of them are under our control and not in our control?
So there's only one factor that defines the success or failure. It's you. It's the founder, really. If you have the ability to build a team or not, right? If you have the ability to understand the market problem and solve it in that way or not, right? So it's really you as a person, and things you don't understand. Like at the very beginning, I showed you entrepreneur cannot spell it, be one and hire someone who can. So bringing in those people who know things you don't know, that is what most people are not able to do. And most people say no before even trying. They're like, why would anybody join me? Why would anybody quit their job and join my startup? You are only questioning yourself. So you don't have, when you talk to somebody, hey, will you join my startup, man? Like, no. Just looking at you, they feel like you're not confident. How can I have confidence in you to quit my job and join you? But when you are, bright and shining, even though you have nothing, but you are like, you know what, I'm going to change this world. I'm going to be my own boss and I'm going all out with it. And I need you to come on board. Only then this can happen. I cannot do it alone. People feel more inspired. So you be first convinced, and then you bring on board. The people are the main thing that make you successful or failure. Great idea with the average team, bound to fail. Average idea with a great team, bound to succeed. And most venture capitalists invest only in founders because the rest they can take care of, right? They can train, they can mentor, they can do all of that. But if the founder is not right, egoistic, you're screwed. So it's the founders that matter.
There is this next question from Aman Chaudhary. Is it better to start with gig economy rather than just going into the startup, or so
Yes.
that we can get our hands on to the?
The reason why I say that, Aman, is because you will get used to being your own boss, managing your schedule that you're not answerable to anyone, managing money, and getting a whole MBA crash course in one sense. While you're earning MBA, you spend money. In gig situation, you're actually earning while you're learning. And when you get better at that, now you're like, you know what? I think I can do something much bigger. If I can make this much amount of money with a laptop and my phone, imagine what else I can do with some other people and team up, and then we go into a startup kind of a phase. That makes total sense.
Okay, wonderful. So I think there are no more questions. Wonderful. So thank you, Mr. Abuelo, for this insightful and enlightening session. Before we wind up this session, Abuelo, three things that you would like to put across to our audience.
Think big, start small, grow slow, grow fast. Four things, sorry. so,
That's it.
so think really, really big, right? Have a big vision, but know that that cannot happen tomorrow. It takes time. So think big, but start small with the low hanging fruit. Whatever you can immediately grasp, right? Low hanging fruit. Get started with that, whether it's a gig or a consultation or whatever, something you can survive on. Then as you grow along, you will figure out there are more problems you can solve. There are people you're meeting who can come and add more value. So think big, start small, grow slow. Slowly you're growing. You will make mistakes, don't repeat the mistakes, right? As long as you don't repeat the mistakes, it's okay to make mistakes. You keep growing. Then you realize, oh my God, this can be a franchise here. This can be, I can take venture funding and grow massively. That's when you grow fast. So think big, start small, grow slow, grow really fast, and capture the market.
Wonderful. I hope participants you took the notes from this session. Beautiful learning, especially making things that people want, build, test, learn, and create value in your own offerings. Before we conclude with today's session, we would also want to thank our association members, that is Geisha, NASCOM COE, LinkedIn Local, Telgro, TLE, WICCI, and ClipTalk for supporting these HRA events. To know more about this association, request all the participants to kindly visit the chat window. Thank you once again, dear speaker, and our participants for joining us today. Do join us for our next masterclass tomorrow on the topic 4 tips on killer presentation, a session by Miss Deepika Singh, speaker and a digital content creator, life skill and motivations, C means business.co on the 24th of June 2021. Request you to kindly register for this event at the link mentioned in the chat window. Also, do join the Dialogue 2021 WhatsApp chat group through the link shared in the chat window. That's it from our end today. See you soon. Stay safe, take care, and bye for now. Thank you, Nihali. We may conclude with the session.
Sure. Thank you.
You're welcome.